Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome, everybody, into the Hump Day Hotline. Hump Day on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, officially brought to you by Ficta, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. I am one of the hosts of this here show, and as you can see, my co-host has not yet joined me, and we're gonna get a special guest host tonight for this show, who's going to be joining us here in just a moment. But before my man arrives, just wanted to kind of just chat with you guys real quick, just about what's been going on as far as what the Bills released today from a injury report standpoint. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is we're looking forward to the Commanders game. I'm gonna do the Commanders injury report first. Actually, you know what I forgot, because I'm sideways because I don't have anybody with me. I forgot to welcome everybody. Welcome everybody into the show. Those of you that are in the chat currently, Sarah Lawson's in the chat, B's in the chat. Who else? Xavier Stutz is in the chat. David Reed's in the chat. My mom is in the chat. Richard Rush. Did I say Richard Rush already? I don't even know. Welcome everybody that has jumped into the chat. Welcome to the show. Appreciate all of you being a part of the show. Tracy Fichter is in the room. Real quick, this is the recording of a podcast. So those of you that are listening online as a pod in podcast form in the coming days, Victory Thursday or Victory Friday, just want you to know that we would love to have you. If there's ever a time that you're available and able to catch us live on YouTube, it'd be great to have you join us. But for now, we're going to hang with the folks in the room. Steve Salter, welcome to the show. But with that, we are Super Chat Live. If you want to get my attention, if you want to ask me a question, if you've got a comment, please throw a Super Chat in there. Also, please hump that like, as we like to say here on Hump Day. On the Hump Day Hotline, hump that like for me and for Jay Spence the King. But now I'm going to transition back over. Before my co-host arrives, I want to talk I'm going to jump ahead before we talk about this last week's game. And I want to jump ahead to just the injury report. Now, the Washington Commanders injury report this week is pretty much benign. The two major names on it, Logan Thomas had a bad concussion. He did not participate in practice on Wednesday. I would not expect to see him play this weekend, but there's a good chance. You never know. He possibly could. And then the only other real name on here that is important to us Bills fans would be Brian Robinson Jr., the running back. And Brian was a full participant with a hip injury on Wednesday, so I would expect to see him play. Now, on the Bills side, this is where things get a little more hairy, if you will, a little more scary. So the Bills, this injury report filled up kind of quick. And other than Dawson Knox, who I didn't even realize was injured, is completely full of defensive starters. So linebacker Terrell Bernard is on this list with a knee and quad injury. He was limited. We're going to talk a little bit about Terrell Bernard on the show. Being limited, I would probably expect him to play this weekend. Leonard Floyd, the defensive end, has an ankle injury. We know he went out of the game with an ankle. He did not participate. However, he spoke to the media today, I believe, and told them that he was going to play. Now, Leonard Floyd comes from the school of Von Miller. So how much Leonard Floyd says to us or tells us that we can take to be the truth or gospel, I don't know. There's a good chance that maybe he won't play. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. And I just go back to the amount of times that Jay Spence the King has reminded us that Von Miller has lied to him. And not necessarily to him in particular, but Von Miller has lied to all of us. Yeah, so Leonard Floyd, hopefully we're going to get him in. He's been a difference maker on this defense for the last couple of weeks. He's been a great signing. Micah Hyde, we know, left the game. He is on this list with a hamstring. We saw him in some of the videos from the beat reporters. He did not participate. He had a wrap on his leg. Dawson Knox is on this list with a back injury. He also did not participate. And then Jordan Phillips with just an illness. He did not participate. Barring the chance that it's COVID, I would probably expect him to play. So hopefully he's just got a little bit of a flu bug, food poisoning, something just that's more of an annoyance rather than game determining. But Terrell Bernard, Leonard Floyd, Micah Hyde, Dawson Knox, Jordan Phillips, all on the injury report. 4 of them did not participate. 1 was limited. we're going to have to wait to see Thursday and Friday how this shakes out and what the rest of the week looks like. But when you think about just that injury report and where it puts us, specifically on the defensive side, we have seen this staff, right? We've seen this staff in the past basically strategically roll that injury report based on the teams that they were playing. So holding guys out, holding out Matt Milano last year, holding out Tremaine Edmonds last year in certain games and certain times. I think there were some corners that they also held out, and or we're basically like, look, we're going to give you an extra week to heal up, to get better. And I don't know that it overly hurt the Bills last year. I think there was one game, and I can't remember which one it was. It might have been the Dolphins game where they rested some guys that didn't necessarily need to rest. And not that it would have completely made a difference. Obviously, there were 6 huge mistakes in that game, any one of which gone the right way, the Bills would have won, particularly 3 botched snaps between Josh Allen and this Van Roten, right? That was the center that was playing at the time, who, if I'm not mistaken, Ed Oliver ate his lunch. He's the starting guard for the Raiders now. So it'll be interesting to see how the Bills play this injury report. There's guys on that list, in my opinion, that potentially, if you gave them a week off against this football team, the Commanders, who are not a very good football team. Yes, they have been winning. Sam Howell, we're going to talk about Sam as well, literally has been playing lights out. I liked this kid in preseason. I liked what I saw from him last year. He's got a bit of surprise to him, much like Brock Purdy. So when you look at who they're playing on paper, the Commanders coming into the season didn't seem like a scary team. Right now, the Commanders are playing pretty well, right? And they've won a couple games. So it puts you in a situation as a fan and probably as a staff of how much can we afford to potentially sit a guy, sit 2 guys, sit 3 of these guys, let guys heal up and rest. Now, Terrell Bernard, what is the drop-off between Terrell Bernard, right, Terrell Dotson, or is this a week we see Christian Kirksey if Terrell Bernard can't go? When you're looking at Micah Hyde, right, who's behind Micah Hyde? Well, clearly Taylor Rapp is the first safety behind Micah Hyde. And then you got to figure DeMar Hamlin would probably be active as well. Am I okay with Micah Hyde possibly getting an extra week to prepare for the Dolphins the week after, coming to Buffalo with, right, Jalen Waddle, who did get injured this weekend, but Tyreek Hill and the way the 2 is playing, I'm probably more okay sitting Hyde in this football game than I am Terrell Bernard, if Terrell Bernard is the starting Mike linebacker and he's the guy we think he is. But then again, the wild card, the ace in this whole situation is Christian Kirksey, which we obviously don't know about. Now, when it comes to Dawson Knox, right, you've got Quentin Morris on this football team. I don't think Dawson Knox is necessarily going to not play in this football game. We'll see. Coming off the edge, Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd to me is, I'm going to say, a must. We've got to have Leonard Floyd. When you look at this pass rush, when you look at the energy that they have, when you look at the ability to penetrate, when you look at the ability to get there with 4, when Von Miller went down last year, right, we all know what happened effectively. That pass rush basically vanished. And the fear that I have going into this game without Leonard Floyd, who's kind of brought some juice to that pass rush, is that the same thing might happen. Now, the question is what are the Bills going to do? Are they going to choose to stop Sam Howell? Are they going to choose to stop the run? This past weekend against the Raiders, we saw the Bills elect to stop the Raiders, or stop the run. They basically shut Josh Jacobs down completely and said, you know what, Jimmy G, take your Devontae Adams, take your Hunter Renfrow, and let's see what you can do and see if you can beat us without Josh Jacobs. Now, that's probably what the game plan I would think would be this week again as well, even though Terry McLaurin is a weapon, an incredible weapon. But it remains to be seen. But we'll see what happens. So John Roberts says that he heard Dawson Knox, that it's just precautionary. I would say that I probably agree with that, because I don't remember hearing about him being injured after the game. There hasn't been a lot of news or anything like that since then. So if that is precautionary, it would be obviously better if they're just giving him kind of a vet rest day. Although I would probably prefer it said that would make me feel a little better about the situation. But yeah, it is what it is. Um, Steve Salter said that Ed ate his lunch, Van Roten, and kissed his girlfriend. I don't know if it went that far, unless his girlfriend. Never mind. Never mind. Oh, look at this. Anthony Foti. I think I said that right. Foti, Foti, listening from Australia. Let's go Buffalo. Anthony, great to have you on the show. What time is it in Australia right now? Is it 8 o'clock in the morning? What are you, 12 hours, 14 hours ahead of us, 10 hours? I don't even know. I'm not that good with geography. But as John Robert said, the Commanders definitely have a better defense than the Raiders did. It's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about that here in just a couple of minutes as well, as my man shows up just in time. I'm at the dot.
Oh man. Yeah. No. See.
Wait. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Sterling Furrow, host of Intentional Grounding.
That's right. Clap it up.
So we're talking about the injury report. We're talking about I was just basically talking effectively, who of these guys can we miss, right? Because we've seen the Buffalo Bills staff in the past literally sit guys precautionarily, right? We saw it kind of in that Dolphins game last year and a couple games last year. They sat Tremaine one game, just kind of precaution. He could have played. They could have forced him in the lineup if they wanted to, but they didn't. And where that kind of puts us. So Terrell Bernard, I don't know if you've seen the list. I'll show it to you one more time, and then we'll move on to the Jets game. This is the list, though. Terrell Bernard, limited. You got to expect him to play. And if he doesn't, Christian Kirksey, I would think, would be the guy, right? Leonard Floyd today said that he was going to play, but I don't know if you heard this, but who knows if he comes from the school of Von Miller, which is basically just he lies to everybody. He lies to the media. Micah Hyde is a guy that with Taylor Rapp, I feel like we could possibly do without Micah. I almost would probably prefer to let that hamstring heal up, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, Micah. Dawson Knox, it was just reported in the comments section that his back is precautionary, and then Jordan Phillips was sick. So thoughts on any of that?
No, Terrell Bernard will be fine. The fact that he was a limited participant is a good indicator that he'll play. You look at guys like Leonard Floyd. I think he plays. I think this is a game that they need him to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So he said that he'd play. Now, yeah, I mean it's hilarious because if he's the Von Miller school of injury magic and free agency, he's gonna play and have 8 sacks.
Right.
But I think it's one of those things where I think he suits up, man. The fact that he was on the sideline, he didn't go to the trainer's tent during the game. He walked off on his own 2 feet, right?
Yeah.
So I think he'll be fine. Jordan Phillips, the sickness. I mean, what you got? What kind of sickness does he have?
That's what I said. I was like,
you got COVID. You got the flu.
Food poisoning. Is it food poisoning?
Yeah. So Sarah just said line the game will be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern instead of tonight. So we got a little time if we want to chop it up here.
Well, I've got topics. Speaking of Terrell Bernard, one of those topics is, he played very well in that game against the Raiders. And I am, admittedly, and I have not yet filled out an apology letter yet, I am admittedly the guy that said on my show, and it became a reel, Trish Patel, my social Savage Trish, who is my social media manager for Overreaction, made a reel of me basically saying there is no starting quality middle linebacker on this football team. Now, then they went and got Christian Kirksey, which to me was like, stamp, Joe is right, right. You don't go get that guy unless you're in the same school of thought that I'm at. However, in the last 2 weeks, Christian Kirksey hasn't even been called up. He's still on the practice squad. With that, Terrell Bernard played well this past weekend. He had an interception. He actually played pretty well. I think he graded out pretty well against the Jets as well, which you can probably speak to. But when you look to Terrell Bernard, he's going to get big boyed, Jerry Ostrowski term, because he's small. This defense has the potential to be big boyed if the line up front doesn't do its job. But what are our thoughts right now on his play as the Mike linebacker? For me, I see growth there. I see potential there. I guess the question is, when you talk about it, the question for me is it sustainable? Do the Bills feel like they're onto something, going smaller in that back seven, right? If that makes sense. Like, we've figured something out. We're going to go smaller. Defenses, I think you've said before that defenses are getting smaller. Like they're actually not a bunch of big dudes like they used to be maybe 10 years ago. But what are your thoughts on how Terrell Bernard has been playing?
He's been playing really good. Just like you, I was one that said, "Hey, the Bills got a problem middle linebacker." Been saying it all summer long, right? But when the defensive line is playing as well as they are, you don't have to have a guy that's gonna beat blocks from an offensive lineman as much, right? You can have a guy go in pursuit mode and go find the ball, go, go tackle the running back, right? So
Mhm.
that's one of the things that you know, that makes me happy about Terrell Bernard is that he's instinctual. We knew that coming out of Baylor that he was an instinctual guy.
Unlike Tyrell Dotson.
Right. Terrell Bernard is a guy that he can blitz the passer from like A or B gap. Like he's
Right,
one of those
right.
guys that can shoot gaps, get skinny, get in there and make a play. But the thing with him is he more of a see ball, get ball kind of guy, where as in like plays need to develop in front of him before him to start having reactionary instincts.
Mm.
But we're seeing that, because I think because of the defensive line play in front of him has improved, it's allowed him to be clean where he can just go make plays, right? Him and Milano are playing really, really, really well right now. So in terms of coverage, we haven't seen him be tested that much.
Mm-mm.
And I think that's going to come, but we knew that he's better in coverage than he is in pursuit of the run. So learning the defense, getting everybody lined up, knowing where he's supposed to be and what his responsibilities are, kind of makes you miss Tremaine Edmonds, like not miss him as much.
Yes.
Right. So I think he's playing well, and that is a surprise. Like that's one of those things where you look at other teams and you're like, oh man, like we thought this one thing coming into the season, and now like Jordan Addison, like he's balling, right? Because he's a third, fourth wide receiver coming off the board or talent wise, and it's not looking like that. Have you heard of Quentin Johnson this year? Like he hadn't done nothing. So
Yeah.
we could be wrong. I think coaching, scheme, all that stuff matters. I think kind of goes to the point that you and I were talking about maybe a week or so ago about the idea of perfection from Sean McDermott to his players, that communication where he does, guys can't make mistakes in games and stuff like that. I think that's one of the things why Kyrie Elam hasn't seen the field, but I'm impressed with Terrell Bernard so far.
Yeah, me too. Kyrie Elam, that's a head scratcher. I deviation a little bit just from kind of the topics that I've got up. I first of all, I don't give a rat's rear end about the embarrassment of we have a first round draft pick who's sitting on the bench and they're playing the 5th or 6th round corner that they drafted. If the 5th or 6th round guy's better, play him. Right? Like I don't care about that at all. It's odd to me. But it's also odd to me that they went out and they drafted a guy that doesn't fit their system at all. And I know you and I talked a little bit about this last week too. I know that there was an expectation that he would maybe get it. He'd come around.
Right.
But this isn't his game. He plays man. He plays press man coverage. We knew it, and we all got excited. Hey, a press man, dude. The freak. You were sitting on the Bill side of the stadium, right?
Yeah.
Where I was sitting, it was literally right below me, so I could see the whole thing because I'm on the 30-yard line visitor side. The Raiders are backed up to their 1-yard line. It's first down from the 1. Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback, and their wide receiver is Devontae Adams. Tre'Davious White is in. He's like right underneath me with Devontae Adams. He's pressed up on him. He's a yard away from him. Down, blue 42, whatever. Just before the snap, Tre'Davious White drops off 7 yards. The ball is snapped. He drops off another 4. Devontae Adams runs 7 yards, curls out. It wasn't a first down, but it gave him all the breathing room that they need. Now, what got missed in that is he absolutely dirted the ball. He grounded the ball in the end zone on 3rd down. But my point is, at some point in time, you've got to press a guy, right? And that point in time is probably going to be next week against the Dolphins, which maybe we'll talk about that real quick too. It's hard for me to believe that you can't make this guy fit the system.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make me happy. The Bills are playing 90% zone coverage right now. 90% of their snaps are zone looks. That's a lot. I think
he's making fun of me. Not a rat's rear end. This is the family show, B. It's a family show.
I do think though that with that 90% of playing zone and pass coverage, I think that comes back to McDermott, and like he wants to feel comfortable that he can trust his guys. You heard them in the press conference. I don't know if you heard, but Trey is not back fully yet.
Yeah, he still has it.
He's still kind of
play. You can see it. You can see
yeah,
it.
he's still kind of coming along. So I think, it's one of those things where maybe it's like, okay, maybe mid-season or toward the end of the season, you might see some more man looks.
Mhm.
But just from, an observer's eye, at the game on Sunday, Devontae Adams cooked them on a couple routes.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a better quarterback would really put to light where Trey is in terms of his development and how he's faring back from injury. So, Terrell Bernard, I'm not Terrell Bernard, but the other guy.
Your Elam?
Not that guy. The other cornerback.
Christian Benford?
Christian Benford. I don't know why. When you get 40, you just start forgetting stuff.
Wait till you're 50. Wait till you're 50.
This hot take will get, people, what do you mean? But I think he's the best cornerback on the team right now.
I think he is too.
I think he's your best corner right now.
Although, and this is what kills me, and I may have said this on the phone with you. I'm getting lost in some of my conversations between last week, right? The show
all blurs together.
Saturday, the extra pod that Sarah was at. Yeah, so it's the whole press man versus zone against the Dolphins. It's like you don't want to press them. You want to play zone. And then they go out there and they freaking eat up the zone with slants, quick slants, stuff over the middle, right? They run basically the same play 80% of the time, and then they run an out on you, and it's wide open because you're expecting the slant, which you can't stop. Anyway, hang on a second. And it turns into this whole thing, and I think I've heard you say it before on shows with me or just shows in general, like, well, God forbid you go to – I've heard Fina say, God forbid you go to put hands on Tyreek Hill and you miss him and he gets by you. He's getting by you anyway. What does it matter?
Yeah.
Like you're 7 yards off, he's still getting by you. So walk up to the line and put him on his butt, Keister. I mean, there's a 5-yard chuck rule. If the ball's not in the air, check him, right?
Yeah. See, the thing is with the Dolphins offense, though, they're putting Tyreek Hill in motion a ton.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not, even if you're playing man, you're not with him in motion, you're not going to be able to put hands on him like that. And that's one of the great designs, that they're using in their offense. So you're going to have to mix it up.
They put him in motion, but it's not a ton.
It's a lot of motion. I wish I had the numbers with me. If I knew we were going to talk about
we're off
the Dolphins.
We're off script, but it is what it is.
But I would have those numbers ready. But they're putting him in motion a lot, and zone or man, he's gonna eat it regardless. He is going to get by you. So
for sure,
you can cover the Dolphins in zone. It just here's what it comes down to: are you disciplined enough to feel comfortable in your zone responsibilities where you can pass that receiver to the next guy in the zone? That's what it comes down to.
It seems like no team can.
I don't know about that. They haven't really played anybody.
Last year I'm talking about. They run the same. They run that post, right? That they run that slant all the time. All the freaking time.
Yeah.
And the ball comes out before the receiver breaks every time.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's their offense is efficient, but it was like this last year. It's nothing new. They were explosive last year. The Bills beat them, regardless if Tua played or not. The Bills beat them. The Bills beat them in the playoffs with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. So,
right.
Here's where it really comes to fruition, though. The Bills have the linebackers in those zones.
Mm-hmm.
It was underneath. They could take that stuff away. Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano are great in coverage. So they have an advantage that a lot of teams don't have, right? You have a 6'7" Greg Rousseau on the outside that can get his hands up. Jordan Phillips I've seen get his hands on balls. Pause. You know what I'm saying?
It's a family show, Sturls.
That's right. So, I mean, am I worried about the game? Yeah, but I think the Bills will win. The Bills will win. And you know why they're going to win?
Why?
Number 4, James Cook, baby. James Cook is a freaking weapon.
He's a weapon.
He is a weapon.
The best thing that I love about James Cook being a weapon is the fact that, like, it was parroted and chirped so much. 2nd round draft pick, and his contact balance isn't good. And it's like,
You
how
didn't
do
hear
you know?
that from me.
But it's like, how do you know? Like the scout said his contact balance isn't good. Every time he got hit, it was a glancing blow when he was at full speed 13 yards down the field. It's like, yeah, if you get hit like that, you're probably going to trip. He was never really in the mess of a pile in college. He only touched the ball more than 12 times twice in his college career, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how do you know his contact? So to see him take blows and take, and take hits and like bounce out of him, I'm loving every minute of it.
Yeah, sometimes, like when you evaluate talent, just because you don't see a guy do it doesn't mean he can't do it. Like,
Right.
like
Sure.
they said, DK Metcalf can't run a full route tree.
Right.
Right. But he can.
he can chuck people too after the
play. Right. So, so you gotta, take that stuff with a grain of salt. Just because he's not as, thick in his lower half like his brother is, doesn't mean he can't do it. Now he's not gonna be
10 pounds lighter and an inch taller. He's not like,
but that matters.
Dalvin Cook isn't built like Barry Sanders.
But his legs are they're thicker than
a little thicker.
The thicker.
I mean, James Cook is not as fast, but he has a Chris Johnson look to him, right?
Ooh, I don't, because they got dreads or what?
Because they're skinny.
I wouldn't say that. I
think he's a little
Chris
bit.
Johnson is like
he's
super
taller,
fast.
I said he's not as fast. He's taller than Chris Johnson, but they're both thin. They're both skinny.
Yeah. They're both thinner backs. He looks like he looks like Jamal Charles.
All right, I'd take that for sure.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Daryl Fletcher said that was false, Joe. I stood when he got drafted. His contact balance in college was going to be fine. I'm talking about media guys. So I'm talking about guys that do draft study. And like, if you look up Joe Marino's, I think, draft summary on him, he said that his contact balance wasn't good. There's just a lot of people that are like, oh, his contact balance isn't great. And it's like, how do we know that? So anyway, so surprise of surprises is the fact that Josh Allen currently leads all NFL quarterbacks in completion percentage. Now I know that it's week 2. But he is leading the league at 76.9%. Now, we know as Bills fans that Josh Allen has the ability to be very efficient when it comes to passing the football and his completions. He just, at times, as he said today in his presser, chooses, right, to hold the football, to kind of not be patient, to force things. And he said that today. They asked him, what he attributes it to. The first thing he said was, well, just being smarter with the football. And I was like, did you forget about last week already? The Jets game? Like, I know it was 3 passes, but still, they were just not smart plays. They were caught, but they just weren't smart plays. But then he did open up and say, a big part of it is that the ball's coming out faster. I'm making my reads and my decisions quicker, and I'm kind of sticking. I'm inferring now. I'm putting words in his mouth, sticking with my read and going and putting the ball where it needs to go versus, and he didn't say this, dropping back, hanging around, running out, waiting for the big play to open up so that he can put the ball in danger, throw it someplace that's a low percentage completion. So I guess the question is this something that we feel like Josh, is it sustainable?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Josh also doesn't have an elbow injury that kind of limited his ability to throw the ball short.
Wouldn't that even short? It limited him throwing it short?
Yeah, it did. Yep.
Because the Vikings
it's
game,
it's a UCL tear. Right. So it definitely, when you're throwing short, it changes the angle in which you can release the ball. So like which is kind of weird to say this, but like when he throws long, it's less pain.
Right.
Right. Like, I don't know, like I play basketball, right?
Yep.
Play basketball in college, whatever. And I got shooter's elbow and I could shoot from distance. But shooting, mid-range hurt more than it did shooting, because you're using more of the muscle, right, to take over, and the way those ligaments kind of work out. So, yeah, man, it's sustainable because this is why it's sustainable, because you have Dalton Kincaid, who's he's a good route runner, and you have Dalvin Cook out of the backfield that you have to account for. So what it's going to do, having those 2 players simply on the field, is going to widen those pass lanes, because those linebackers, or if you match them up with a safety, they're going to have to be accounted for. Whereas last year, you didn't really have a guy that could really take care of things over the middle and the short range, because Gabe Davis, they deployed him out long, and his route running says that he's better running routes down the field. So you got Gabe, who's slightly better, I would say, out of 2 games from what I've watched in all 22. He's slightly better running the short intermediate routes, which we really haven't seen him catch much there, because the first game he only had 2 catches. This past game, what he had 5 or 6 catches or whatever, like 6 catches for 92 yards is what he had in a touchdown.
Something like that. I thought it was 7, but it might be 6. You might be right. Yeah.
Yeah. So either way. So I think having those guys in the offense, Dalton Kincaid, they're clearing the pass lanes for Josh Allen.
6 for 92 and a touch. Yep.
Yeah. So, and then I got to give Ken Dorsey some credit too. I think that was one of the points of emphasis this past offseason was, how do we get Josh Allen some easy button throws? Because what they saw in the playoffs against Joe Burrow ate him up with those easy access short throws. We're just going to keep going down the field. And when we get in the, by the 30, the 20, we'll take a shot to the end zone and we'll get you. So that's the game that Josh Allen, he's going to have to take that test every single week. He's going to have to, because you're going to see teams blitzing 3 or 4, right? And they're going to put 7 or 8 in coverage every time.
For sure. I just wonder how long it's going to take for him to get impatient and have to learn that lesson again. Does that make sense? Like there's just an aspect of it's just in him, man. It's just he wants to play the Steelers game from last year every game. I want to just drop back and cut the ball loose and have.
He's an adrenaline junkie.
He's an adrenaline junkie, big time.
Big time. So, I think teams with matchup safeties and linebackers will kind of bring that out of him. Like, so when you play the Chargers with Derwin James and some of these teams that have like really athletic linebackers and safeties that can cover, I think that's where he'll cut. That's where rubber will meet the road. But I think against the Raiders, who their linebackers aren't very good in coverage, you don't have to worry about them. The Commanders have Jamin Davis, and you're not really worried about them in terms of their coverage. I think they're a little weak at linebacker in terms of coverage. Safety, they got Benjamin St-Juste, who he's like a 6'3" corner from the University of Michigan. Well, he started at Michigan and then he went to Minnesota, got in the league. He's a bigger, taller corner, but or safety combo, but you can exploit him too. So I think this will come to fruition when they see different kind of styles of team. Like the Patriots will be a test for them with their linebackers and how they deploy their defense, right? So you'll see you won't see a 78% completion percentage in games like that.
Gotcha. So moving on to the next topic, when you're looking at just what happened against the New York Jets, right? So the national media pretty much cooked the Buffalo Bills after that week 1 loss, which was probably incredibly unfair, as much as even all of us were in the same spot, right? Like, this has got to stop, Josh. This isn't a one-time thing anymore. This is becoming who you are. But it was a little bit overdone as far as like, yeah, they're done. They're cooked. Like the game wasn't even that bad. There was a game that we had in hand. It was thrown away. It is what it is. I guess the question is, 1 loss to the Jets, I don't think that criticism was warranted, right? I mean, and I'm not saying that the criticism that I gave, the criticism that you gave post game, the criticism that we, and a lot of, even Dan Orlovsky, Josh, it's time to grow up. It's time to stop doing that. It's time to stop having your eyes go down. It's time to stop getting happy feet. Like, you're beyond this. That's not the criticism that I'm talking about. I think you can't come out and everybody agree with Kyle Brandt that week 1 is a liar, because it is, right? Every year, week 1 is a liar. And then the freaking Giants got lambasted, right, by the Cowboys, and then came from behind. I think it was the largest. So week 1, the Giants lost by the largest margin of defeat they've ever had in their team's history, I think. And week 2, they had the largest comeback in team's history. So it's just interesting how that happens. But I guess the question I would have for you, the same thing, is like, warranted? Can't be warranted, right? Or do you think it was?
Oh yeah, it's warranted, because you got to look at what's your standard for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, right? Like if we're talking about, let's say, the Chargers, your standard's not as high, right? Should be, but it's not, because they haven't proven anything. Or if your standard is the Washington Commanders or the Arizona Cardinals, like, what's your standard? So for the Bills, because of who they are, what they've been able to accomplish over the last 4 or 5 years, and who Josh Allen is a quarterback, your standards should be high. They deserved all the smoke that they got. All of it.
The Jets were being crowned Super Bowl champions before the game.
Sure.
So if they were the Jets with Mark Sanchez or some trash quarterback, some cheeks quarterback, as Spence likes to say, and they went out Zach Wilson, which they did end up losing to Zach Wilson. I guess maybe that's why, right? I mean, maybe that's part of it. That's a good football team, the Jets are. Now, they don't have a shot in Hades of, in my opinion, making the playoffs at this point, but it just is what it is. I guess for me, there's got to be a little bit of trust to one thing we have seen from this football team.
Yeah.
They have the ability to lay an egg once in a while, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And they did, right? So it's a blessing in disguise, man. Yeah. I'm glad that they got the
way week one.
Get it out of the way. Get your nasty, ugly, dirty performance. Oh, by the way, you lost by punt return in overtime, so it's not like they got smoked, right?
Right.
That's still a 1-score game. And this whole Josh Allen in overtime BS is so that I hate that statistic. Well, he's 0-5 in overtime games. Like you got to use context, man. But anyway, they deserved all the smoke, Joe. They did all of it.
To your 40-year-old man comment, I think it was Sunday. I'm sitting on the back porch. I put a TV on my covered porch. Finally, like when I bought this house in 2018, I was like, I'm going to put a patio and a covered porch, and I'm going to put a TV out here, and I'm going to sit out here and watch football every Sunday. And it took me it was a step process. It took me till 2023 to actually get the TV finally up. Everything else was getting done through that time, but regardless, I sat there literally in the chair on my back porch. And finally, I had to yell to my daughter. I was like, what is the last name of the Chargers quarterback? And she looked at me, she goes, Herbert? And I was like, I refused to look it up. I was like, I know this answer. Like, I'm talking 10, 15 minutes. Right. Like, I saw his face on the television. It was like a commercial. And I'm like, that mofo's name is Justin, but I cannot place his last name to save my life. Like, literally, dude, save me.
Oh, dude, I hate it. Like, I don't know who Christian Benford is. Like,
it only gets worse. It only gets worse.
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
Last topic, and then I'm going to ask you a very pointed question about the game. But we saw a very dominant and very, in my opinion, varied run game that was an extension from week one, from the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
I love what I'm seeing, and I think the talent level of the three running backs, when you're talking about Damian Harris, James Cook, and Latavius Murray, I think they each bring something incredibly different to the backfield that complements each other. They each do something a little bit different, which I think puts defenses a little bit on edge.
Yeah.
I just want to see it week in and week out, bro.
Oh, you will.
I want to see it every week. Will we?
Yeah, it's sustainable.
We are the fan base, and the team has listened. It's like, just stop running the football.
No, I'm telling you, man, by the end of the season, we will say James Cook was the best thing that happened to this Bills offense. Because I'm telling you, I mean, I know it's only 2 games, and I know it's only the Raiders, but when you go back and you watch that all 22 against the Jets, you're like, he is so close. Like, he is right there to bust one. It was right there.
Couple times.
Couple times, man. You're like, oh, wow, this is going to bode well. But here's the deal. James Cook and the play of the guards, Connor McGovern, Osiris Torrance. The fact that they're able to supplement Josh Allen in the pass game is freaking phenomenal. Josh Allen has 6 rushing attempts in 2 weeks?
I wish he would. He had 1 rushing attempt at the goal line, which was the one where he jumped and the defensive back came up with him. I wish he'd have run it more in the goal. I think that's still missing from the Bills' offense. I think
right. Guess what?
Inside the 5.
And look, it's like this. People are mad about. Well, why aren't the Bills throwing the ball deep? Why isn't Josh Allen
mad about that at all?
Just people are. Where's the big explosive plays? Right. I love the fact that they're learning how to do it differently. Because they can still go to the deep ball when they want to. And Josh Allen can still run the ball when he wants to. So lull these defenses asleep throughout the regular season and freaking unleash Josh Allen on the NFL in the playoffs. Because I guarantee you they've had that conversation. Josh, I need you to be Josh, but be smart, right? Here's the offense. Take what they give you. Patrick Mahomes had to answer the test. He's doing it. So he's playing boring football, and when he has an opportunity, he takes his shots. With one of the best things for Patrick Mahomes was to lose Tyreek Hill, because he has to learn how to play within structure. You can't play Backyard football all day, every day.
Josh still wants to. Man,
Josh still wants to.
He bails out so fast when he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
It's funny to your point about throwing the ball. You're talking about a kid that after he about ripped his elbow off against the Jets last year, then the very next play threw the ball farther in the air than any other quarterback did the entire season.
Oh yeah. Right. So I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I hope it continues
From the
because
run
of
game.
Josh. Yeah. And the short passing game, right? So
Right.
it's a higher percentage way of playing. And oh, by the way, the Bills are like inching close to being pretty good at yards after catch, and that is because the ball is coming out quick.
There's something about the way they like all of them do the same thing. When I watched the game back,
Mm-hmm.
Stephon Diggs has a habit of sliding into catches. Like it's not a matter of the ball's low; he just catches the ball and slides. Dawson Knox, his touchdown catch in the end zone, fell on the ground and didn't have to. We would have hit him right in the chest, but he
Right.
like is falling over backwards to catch the foot. Like
That's a big man catch.
it's a big man catch, but you know what I'm saying? Like it almost seems like sometimes they're falling down with no reason to. It's almost like we want you to catch the ball and stop, catch the ball and stop, catch the ball and stop.
Look, if Stephon Diggs wants to do that, I don't care because the way he went, his yards after catch, like if you notice, like he doesn't like to take contact, and I love that because it's going to preserve him.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at and I hate to keep coming back to
he likes to take contact when he's delivering it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And he's smart about it, and that's going to make his career a lot longer.
Well,
right?
Knock on wood. I don't even know. I mean, you're talking about a guy. He's probably learned.
Did you just hit your head?
I did. Knock on wood. Literally every year he was in Minnesota, he was injured. That was one of the concerns that there was about Stephon Diggs that nobody talked about is the fact that I think he played one full season the whole time he was in Minnesota. Like, so coming here and being, I mean, he's been incredibly durable, but he also, like we just said, doesn't take unnecessary hits. And generally, if he's taking contact, it's because he's delivering punishment.
Yeah. Yeah, no, man. Look, the Bills are in 12 personnel 50% of the time.
On average, yep.
So and teams are coming at them so far playing nickel. So that only benefits the Bills. And that's why you're seeing James Cook play the way he is, because light boxes with two tight ends who said can't block, they're good enough. They're good enough to get it done.
Right.
It's only going to bode well. Now, we do need to see some, I would like to see some Trent Sherfield, Deontay Hardy get more involved in the offense. I feel like they can unlock, the Bills in terms of like a deep passing game, right? Or
Josh hasn't even thrown the ball to Sherfield yet, right?
I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
I don't think so. But and then you see Deontay Hardy with his limited role. He's looking more and more like an Isaiah McKenzie clone than anything, the way they're using him. But I hope that changes. I hope that I like to see what they have in Hardy. And then, we'll see what Khalil Shakir is about. I mean,
we'll see.
But right now they got weapons.
Mm-hmm.
They got enough weapons, right? They don't I would still like a better number 2 wide receiver, but they got enough.
Mm-hmm. So looking ahead to Washington, because you are the resident expert, at least on this show right now. Why don't you give us a quick scouting report on the Commanders and what we could potentially expect offensively and defensively from them?
So defensively, their defensive line is nasty. It's nasty, right? So you got Payne and Allen. You have Chase Young and then Montez Sweat, right? So this
how do we get Chase Young?
I don't even know if we want Chase Young.
You
talk about somebody who can't stay healthy.
Oh, that's true.
Right? But, hey, if you can roll him out 50-60% of the time, I'll take him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll throw you a third. You can go. You can go on and give us him. But that defense line is good. It's really good. Now, they had 7 sacks against the Broncos last week. The Broncos' offensive line is not that good. Okay. But I think this puts pressure on each lineman individually because they're gonna be tested. And these guys, it's not like the defensive tackles are like just big, fat, and slow. These boys are athletes.
Right.
Chase Young is an athlete on the outside, and Montez Sweat is one of the fastest defensive ends in the league. So the Bills have faced this front before. They know what to expect. I'm gonna tell you what, though. In the back end, Emmanuel Forbes, he's a rookie out of Mississippi State. I liked him coming out, but he's going against Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs, he should feed Stephon Diggs a lot this game. Gabe Davis should have a good game, right?
Should.
But This game comes down to James Cook, in my opinion. How can you get, look, these guys, just think about it. The Commanders have 10 sacks in 2 weeks. So they're going to be eager to come after Josh Allen, right?
Right.
And if you play that style of abandonment, you're going to leave a lot of lanes open in your rush lanes.
Well, that and Josh Allen eats generally against the blitz as well.
Yeah, so if you do that, you're going to unleash Josh Allen and the RPO game with James Cook, and then you're up Poops Creek. I'm telling you right now. So I think it bodes well for the Bills. Now, Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, they're good players. I like the way they use their passing game, trying to get easy button throws, screen game going, and so forth. Their offensive line is okay. They're playing a little bit better than a lot of people's expectations are. But Sam Howell's a guy that McDermott does really well against quarterbacks who are rookie to young quarterbacks. So I do expect them to send some blitz packages, because I think it's a good precursor and test to next week, right?
Yeah.
So if you could start sending some blitzes Sam Howell's way, get him confused at what he's saying pre and post snap, I think that's going to bode well for the defense.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to change the subject, so I don't want to do that. Keep going. Keep wrapping.
But they not Bijan Robinson, but they got Brian Robinson, who's a big bruising running back, and Antonio Gibson, who took a long touchdown on us a couple years back. So I think the Bills can that if they play within themselves and do what they're supposed to do. Josh Allen doesn't act crazy and turn the ball over. They're gonna house these boys. Well, they're gonna dog walk them just like they did the Raiders. Dog walk them.
Sam Howell is an interesting prospect to me, and the question is how do you get him out of his confidence level? Because Sam Howell is I don't know what round he was drafted. It was not high, 5th round draft pick. Has a little bit of Brock Purdy in him, in as much as it's like, where did this guy come from? He had a good college career, as did Brock Purdy, and the dude has not lost an NFL game going back to last year. When you watch him play football, he throws the ball in the windows, just like Brock Purdy does. It's like, it's funny because people are like, oh, Brock Purdy's just out there managing a game. Just make sure he doesn't ruin the game or lose the game for the team. No, that dude's making throws. And Sam Howell is doing the same thing. In preseason, that dude's out there making throws. It's just like
he can throw. He can throw the ball. Like he's not like one of these trash, Jimmy Garoppolo type of quarterbacks. Like Jimmy Garoppolo is trash to me, but
Jimmy Garoppolo
he's better. He's better than Garoppolo. Well, no, Garoppolo's better than he is.
I don't think so.
Arm talent wise, he's not.
No,
but just time in the saddle, I think that matters. Like,
you might be right about that, but to me, Jimmy Garoppolo is trash. I never when the first time he got traded from the Patriots, like the whole, there's an aura and just the expectation that rolls around with him that just isn't warranted. It's like the dude has never done anything but lose starting jobs. So what in the world are we talking about as far as this kid being good? Garoppolo is not a good quarterback, but that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, he's got 2 good receivers. He's got Logan Thomas as former Buffalo Bill.
Maybe.
Is he on the injury report?
Yeah, he did not participate. He got whacked hard and dirty, and it was not pretty.
Okay. I think they'll be fine.
Thank you for letting that one go. I appreciate
that. All day here. I'll be playing here all day.
Family show. On your show, you can say whatever you want. On my no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't want to have to put like the explicit content button. I don't have to click that.
No, you won't have to edit this. I'm being real good. I'm being real good tonight. So I'm still tired. I flew in last night.
Yeah.
Drove home. Went to sleep, woke up, went to work, and then I was in traffic. So I had to set up my stuff again because I brought stuff with me to the hotel.
You brought your gooseneck. I saw it on your show. I was like, he packed the gooseneck.
I sure did, man. So yeah, it's been busy.
You've been to 3 Bills home openers in a row.
Yep.
Rate them. Obviously, Steelers one was going to be last, right? Although that tailgate was pretty great.
Yeah, the tailgate was pretty great. This year, this is the one I remember the most. Not just because I just went there, but I didn't have anything to drink. Like, I didn't get intoxicated. I had a couple shots in the morning.
Yeah,
but that's it.
Really?
Yeah, because the last 2, I was hammered.
I just love the picture that I took of you sitting on the toilet at the Pinto Ron tailgate. So
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So this was it was a fantastic game. It's funny because I live in Hamburg, so I'm in the South Towns and I'm in the flight path of the flyover. So I generally know what the flyover is going to be before they fly over. And I said to my dad, I was like, yeah, we're getting some prop plane, like whatever. And meanwhile, the Chiefs get a stealth bomber. I was like, how is this even fair? Like, we get this big, giant, fat prop plane that goes like 80 miles an hour. And the Chiefs, the last time I was there, like a stealth bomber flew over. And you're just like, oh my God.
Well, I
And
was hoping that they send over the plane that they found in North Carolina. I was
Yeah.
hoping that was going to be the one that they would just do us a favor and just come say hi. But
it was a CJ something, I don't even know, but that thing was like on the deck. That plane was so low.
Oh, I know it was pretty low.
like the smoke entered the stadium. That plane was so low.
Yeah, I was like, dang, that boy, he's really trying to get a
I
close
was like,
close look.
I was like, all right, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm glad I didn't die. Because black folks, we'd be scared. Danger, I can't run. I gotta get out. But no, I stayed in my seat and I felt safe,
Oh, amazing. So we are going to jump into we're gonna do this commercial break, and then I got a special thing kind of coming up, but we're going to do our predictions, game score predictions for the Commanders, as well as our Josh Allen stat line prediction. But before that, a little word from our show sponsor and then a special treat.
Imagine waking up to a world that's as clear as your dreams. With Zeiss Smile technology, this is your reality. At Fichte, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care, our mission is your vision. Conducted by a team of expert surgeons leveraging leading-edge technology, our procedure is safeguarded, swift, and tailored to your eye care needs. Say goodbye to the limits of glasses or contacts. Embrace a world where your vision keeps pace with your life's aspirations. Contact us today at 800-309-2020 or visit us online at fichte.com. At Fichte, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care, we are focused on you.
Third down.
So when y'all hear that, y'all know what time it is. That means it's third down, and that means, and I know y'all ain't seen me all night. That's okay. I got stuff to do. Mind your business. Mind your business. But right now it's third down. So Joe, you know what time it is, man. We got to get these predictions.
So going forward, for everybody that's now in the know, every time we play those train horns at this point of the show, because you might play them at any other point of the show too. You're a little train horn happy. It basically means that we are going to do score predictions and Josh Allen stat line prediction to effectively kind of get the end of the show coming as we're looking forward to the next game of the week. And this week we're going to be playing the Washington Commanders in Washington. And before we even get to a score prediction and Josh Allen stat line, why don't you just real quick give us kind of, because we've been talking about it, why don't you give us just some of your feelings, thoughts on what's going to happen, your feelings, how this game is going to go?
Well, so for me, I think we're going to see what we saw this past Sunday out the Bills. I don't think, like at this point, and if you remember, those of you who are watching and then some, if you're listening by podcast, a few weeks ago, Joe and I ran down the season, how we thought it was going to go. And I predicted, unfortunately, correctly, that I thought we were going to lose to the Jets, but then I thought we were going to run off like 4 or 5 games in a row. And I think this is the second of those games. I think Josh is going to come out. He feels good this week because everybody's giving him compliments. It's like, oh, he's accurate. He's leading the league. Did you see that? Josh is leading the league in completion percentage right now.
Do you think he put Instagram and Twitter back on his phone?
I'm sure he did.
He claimed he took it off his phone.
Well, I'm sure he's looking now. He's looking now. Let me see what you're saying about me now. Exactly. But he's so I think Coach McDermott and Ken Dorsey are going to be in his ear and they're going to say, look, man, this is the Josh we need. And if he plays like that, realistically, I think for the year, man, he could win MVP if he plays like that.
I agree. I wonder if the MVP, man, I guess if you're going to put that stinker on the field, on film, it's better to do it week one. I felt like week one kind of like that's going to stifle end the MVP talk for the rest of the season. But you're right. If it's just that 1 week and depending on how if Tua finds a hiccup in there somewhere, because that dude's playing like an MVP right now. But yeah, no, I can't disagree with you. What else? What do you got for the defense? It's Sam Howell. I liked him in preseason. That dude,
I did too.
Confidence, is aggressive, like is not afraid to win, much like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is the same way. Like Brock's like, oh, there's a window there, I'll throw through it.
But you know what I noticed about Brock Purdy and Sam Howell? They're in offenses that make it easy for them to do that. So when you have a Kyle Shanahan or Eric Bieniemy calling the plays for you, they find out. They even find out what your weakness is, and then they figure out how to make it a strength. Right. And that's what they do for these guys. And I think Brock Purdy, I wrote an article about him that came out today. He's not a world changer by any means. Like he's not. You don't put him in the same class as a Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. You don't put him up there. But the thing is, right now this year he has over 400 yards passing, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns. And then when you have a Christian McCaffrey and a Deebo Samuel, the offense that he has, all he has to do is make sure he doesn't lose it. Right. And sometimes I'm a little jealous of that. Right. Because it's like we have the talent, we have the players, but it's like, why can't Josh just feel like all I got to do is just not lose it for them?
Clark Kent.
He has
just got to be Clark
exactly.
Kent.
It's the same quote from Jerry. It's the same quote. We just need Clark Kent. Sometimes we don't need Superman.
Right.
So, but for this Sunday, I think Sam Howell, I think he's going to be exactly what we see him to be. But I think this is one of those games where Sean McDermott is going to look like a genius. Like, so, week 1, we all dragged him. Week 2, I was a little critical of the first drive. Like, it's like, that scripted, it's always the Bills' Achilles heel, that first scripted drive.
Agreed.
After that, I think we're going to start to now going forward. It's going to be like, oh, I do like McDermott's defense. I think he always confuses young quarterbacks. They never play well against us. I know Sam Howell had some starts last year towards the end of the season, but I think at this point you can look at him and say like this is his rookie campaign. I think the Bills are going to confuse him and make it bad. I say we win by 2 scores.
2 scores. So let's do this first. So let's do the game prediction for you first, and then what you just did, 2 scores. But you'll give us a score in a second, and then the Josh Allen stat line prediction, and then I'll give mine with Sterls when I jump back over to Sterls. Does that work?
Okay, perfect.
Gotcha. So game prediction.
And for the record, Sterls, you're wrong. I don't know what you said, but you're wrong.
I don't know that he said it yet, but
he's wrong. I'm just saying he's wrong. Whatever it is that he's going to predict, unless he says the same thing I say, he's wrong.
I don't know. Saturday night, he said that we were going to dog walk the Raiders, and he was right. So,
but I mean, who didn't feel that way?
I had some reservations.
Wow. See, I'm shocked that. Well, you did say that. You're right. You said that at the pod.
I didn't say that they were going to lose. It just felt like I had some reservations. I wasn't like we're going to stomp a mud hole in her. Like I just wasn't like it just
Man, all the advice I was given last week was like, if you have any Bills player on your fantasy, play him. Like that's what I was going. But so for this though, I'm gonna go Bills 34 and Washington 21.
I'm close. I'm not going to tell you what mine is because I'm going to save it for in a minute. But I'm close.
Yeah. So
gotcha.
and then with that being said, I think we get the same Josh Allen we got, except I think we're going to get a couple big plays. So like this time it was like all efficiency. He wanted to be methodical. We chopped away at it. I think this time, because we're doing that, is going to be one of those times where you're going to now see Diggs say, okay, my turn. Because Diggs, he didn't have an issue Sunday. He took a little step back to Davis, and I think it's okay. As long as the Bills are winning, he's happy.
Agreed.
I think this week he's going to be like, all right, wait, I need to get back in a conversation with the league leaders in yards because I don't want to be too far away. So let me get my lick back. So I just think it's going to be one of those games. So I give Josh Allen a 335-yard day. I'm going to say 3 touchdowns through the air, and I think Himbo Cooks gets another one on the ground.
Oh, my fantasy team would love that. I have Josh Allen on my fantasy team too, so I would. Joe Miller, the voice, would doubly love that. But
you would love it.
Jay Spencer King, thank you so much for joining us, for jumping in for a couple of minutes. I know you're busy this week. Real quick, I think next week my travel plans have changed, which means that we get to be together, I think, live on the Hump Day Hotline for the first time in a couple of weeks. So
I think it's the first time literally for this season, though, because like week 1,
you're right.
Yeah, because we did part, and then after the part, then it was Bruce, and now it's you and Sterls.
I was in Florida, then I was in Toronto, and home this week. You're busy, and then I was supposed to be in Denver next week. Yep, and I'm not going now. So, but
you're traveling like the president. You're traveling like the president. I'm just saying,
not gonna happen. Just stop it. It's not gonna happen. Go Bills, my friend.
Go Bills. Love y'all.
Love you. We are back. You're wrong. Whatever you're about to say.
Hey, he can kiss my 2 feet. I tell you that right now.
All right. So everybody, in the comments section. If you can hear my voice and we're talking live right now, give it to me. Give me your Josh Allen stat line prediction. So Jay Spence's was relatively high, and I'm not going to lie, I think mine's going to be a little lofty too. So why don't you give me your Josh Allen stat prediction and your why, and then I'll give you mine.
First of all, let me pat myself on the back because I gave you a 38-16 prediction. Okay.
On Saturday?
On the live pod, I did not say Josh would get over 300 yards passing, and I said he had three touchdowns. So, I mean, I'm kind of right, okay, but whatever, right?
I didn't say you were wrong.
I'm just saying.
I don't write the copy for this show.
I'm just saying. So
we don't have
therefore,
teleprompters in front of us where we just read the teleprompter.
Therefore, by the powers vested in my ability to know this shit, I'm gonna say. Oh,
just
and by the way,
this is Daryl Fletcher says, thank you for keeping it PG. Great.
And did I not say that Josh would have over 30 completions? I did say that too.
You did say that. You did.
So, because I'm on a hot streak,
I'm
gonna say Josh goes 32 for 39.
Wow. So he keeps the efficiency up.
Yep, he's gonna have 287 yards.
Wow.
Yep. 2 touchdowns in the air, 1 on the ground.
Oh.
James Cook will have a touchdown on the ground. James Cook will have about 85 yards rushing.
That's it?
That's it. I think Josh will get like 50 yards rushing.
I think Josh Allen's going to throw over about 42 times. I think football's going to come out. At least he's going to drop back because sacks count, right? So I think he's probably going to go about 32 for 42, put him in about 75%, right? So which is right on par for where he's been this year. I've got him at about 345 yards. I'm going to go 3 touchdowns, 3 TDs. 1 could be on the ground, but 3. He's going to amass 3 touchdowns, in my opinion. I like the James Cook kind of prediction as far as that goes. Having him on my fantasy team, I would love to see him rush for 126 at the touchdown.
Oh, it'd be great. I would love that.
With 5 more receptions or 6 more receptions like that.
I would like James Cook to have all the production on the offense. Just keep feeding him. Just run. But that's a good prediction, Joe.
Yeah. And by the way, nobody in the comment section has given me a Josh Allen stat line. So y'all need to do your job and give me Josh Allen stat lines right now. So those are our stat lines, and then game score prediction. So what was Spence 34 to 21? Is that what he said?
Yep. Yeah, I think the Bills will get it done 34 to 14.
34-4. Wow. That's big.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think the Bills will jump out on them early. It's going to cause them to have to play catch up. They're going to have to throw the ball, so it's going to make them one-dimensional. Okay? I think that's where they're going to get them. Young quarterback. Look, this is a huge game for the Commanders, right? I don't think they have the team character.
It's a test, right?
I don't think they have the team character to live up to the expectation and the hype they're getting right now, being 2-0.
I agree.
So that's where it comes in for me.
I agree. I mean, this is definitely David versus Goliath when you talk about the Buffalo Bills coming in and playing the Commanders, who have won 2 games, but their opponents haven't exactly been stalwarts. They haven't been the Chiefs, the Bills, right? Even the Dolphins at this point. The Buffalo Bills score prediction for Joe Miller for this weekend. I got them 35 to 28. So I've got the Commanders scoring some points. And I don't know that it's necessarily because the Commanders are playing a good football game. Does that make sense? Sure. I think it's more just like we're up, to your point, we're up by a lot, several possessions, and the Bills maybe pull their foot off the gas pedal a little bit. It's not going to be a situation where that one score is like, they're 1 score away. But I think 35-28, maybe 35-24, which is very similar to what Spence said. It's going to be a fun football game. I'm going to be there. I can't wait.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You will be there.
I've never been to FedEx Field before, so I'm really looking forward to that. Going to be at the Fans of Buffalo tailgate on Sunday. Not sure what's going on Saturday. I land in Washington or I should say at like 1:30. So
okay.
Not exactly sure what's happening after that, but yeah. Anything else that you want to pop off about before we get out of here?
Greg Rousseau is going to have 2 sacks.
Look at you go.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say Christian Benford gets a pick.
I like that a lot. Sam Howell's got to come to earth at some point, right?
Exactly.
So, and as much as I predicted 28 points from them, that's not really coming to earth. It doesn't necessarily. man, I don't now I'm second guessing myself. Because if
Yeah.
I believe that McDermott is going to do what McDermott does to young quarterbacks, which is, to your point, confuse them, which we know he does, you got to wonder if he literally stymies him. Mike White's him, right? Because if you
Right.
remember Mike White, when he came in to play the Bills the first time, it was like, oh my God, Mike White. And then Mike White was on the bench.
Yeah, man. I look, man, I think it's gonna be I think the Bills are gonna get them. They're gonna dog walk these boys. And I'm not gonna say that every week, but they're gonna dog walk these guys for sure.
I hope so, because I'm sitting row 1, which means I'm not going to be able to see the football game at all.
Ooh, I heard that stadium is pretty big too.
Yeah, I'm going to be row 1 staring at the backup players' backs. It's just like, okay.
Are you on the Bill side or are you on the Commander side?
I don't know. Sitting with a group of friends, so I'm not exactly sure where we're going to be sitting. I just know that it's row 1 and like these recliner seats, and there's a butler. So it's like it's going to be it's going to be an experience. It's going to be a party.
A butler.
Apparently there's a butler. That's just what I was told. There's somebody that comes around and
wow.
yeah, so I'm living it up, bro. I'm living it up. Programming note, riding or driving back from the game on Sunday. So the Overreaction Sports Show, post-game show, will be on Monday morning, probably at 8 a.m. So it will not be on Sunday night.
But I will be on Sunday night.
But yes, the official Buffalo Rumblings post-game show with Sterling Furrow will be on Sunday night.
That's right.
Wait, are you going Sunday night or are you going Sunday afternoon?
Sunday night.
What
I'm
time?
gonna go Sunday night.
What time?
I'm gonna go 8 o'clock Sunday night.
8 o'clock. There you go.
Yeah.
So everybody, this is Sterling Furrow. Sterling, please tell everybody where they can find you and where they can find your shows, the shows you do, and how they can get more of your content. Because in my opinion, dollar for dollar, pound for pound, you're like one of the best scouts we got, bro.
You know what? I appreciate that, Joe. I really appreciate that. I try to do everything I can to really, you know, I still have a long way to go in terms of like my processing, but I'm getting pretty good at it, I think.
I think so too.
I'm one of those guys on Rumblings that my stars is climbing. It's climbing, dude.
Agreed.
It's climbing. So got to keep the grind up. But you can find me at Furrow Sterling on Twitter. I don't do a lot of stuff on Twitter, but but during the game, I'll be definitely giving you my thoughts on what's going on during the game, schematic wise. I really cut my teeth in terms of the NFL draft. That's where you're really gonna get like a lot of my foresight is like draft prospects in the offseason. So during the season, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen schematically, things I think. But so far this year, in terms of the Bills, the things that I've said have been pretty accurate. So I'm happy about that. We'll see. We'll keep it going. But I have a little following on TikTok. I don't post much. I'm just not a social media guy. I'm an old head, Joe. I'm an old school guy. You know what I'm saying?
Did you see my tweet this week where I said if I could just log into all my social media, like mash the keyboard and then hit log out, like I would do it right now.
I swear to God, man. I swear to God. Yeah.
Vanish. Just vanish.
Bro, I'm telling you, man. But no, it's been good, man. I'm really enjoying myself here, Rumblings. I'm just excited, man. I'm glad to do this show with you. You're one of my best friends ever.
Same.
And I appreciate the hell out of you. And it's always good when we get to get on here and chat.
I love you too, man. Appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been tuned into the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, brought to you by Fichtel, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care. My name is Joe Miller. I'm the co-host of this year's show. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. Over there, my temporary co-host for this show, Sterling Furrow. You can find him at Furrow Sterling. Make sure you check out all of his content. Next week, Joe Miller, the voice and the king, will be back in the saddle live for the first time this season. But for me, for Buffalo Rumblings, for Sterling, don't forget Line to Gain is tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, yes.
Tomorrow. Go Bills.
Go Bills, baby.